The world-shaking tape started subtly, barely audible, whispery growl that was nearly dismissed as ambient noise. But once leaked onto the internet, it spread like inflammable tinder during a firestorm, annihilating the already devastated Brown family. The tone was unmistakable. It was Robyn Brown speaking in a panted but controlled tone, describing a large financial transaction. It's only $1,820,000. Kody doesn't need to hear the figure. If it's presented as a family expense, nobody will bat an eye. The response was immediate and brutal. Robyn had funneled over $820,000 of community property that was supposed to be split among the family, into accounts in her name only, not into a joint trust with Kody. Just her, nobody else. Hi everyone, welcome back to Reality Recap. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. The leak was anonymous, by a person who was part of the TLC production team, someone appalled by what they termed manipulation and emotional blackmail behind the scenes. Janelle was the first to hear the recording. She heard it twice sitting with her son Gabe in their modest Arizona rental. As reality hit her like thunder in the chest, she grasped the sides of her laptop. She did it, Janelle panted. She actually did it. Gabe, his gaze absorbed on the pulled-up bank transfer forms from the common system he used to help with, was shocked. Mom, this is stealing. This is a betrayal. That's when everything came crashing down. Meri's wake-up call, Janelle's icy rage. The betrayal was so overwhelming. Janelle's voice shook when she called Meri that night. Not with fear, but with rage. She embezzled CP money, Janelle said bluntly. Over $800,000. It's all in her name. She used Kody's electronic signature twice. Meri was frozen in her Utah bed and breakfast. Wait, she signed his name? Janelle's voice was firm. She said it was normal budgeting. Meanwhile, she vested her own security in the safety reserve for all of us. Christine, talking over video with them both, did not even bat an eye. I knew all along that she was stirring something up. We were nothing but stepping stones. But this is crossing a line. Meri's expression was stone-like. If she thinks she can get away with this, she chose the wrong women. The three ex-wives, for the first time in years, stood together, not because they shared misery, but because they shared a purpose. TLC tension dissolved as Kody fell apart. Robyn returned to Flagstaff for the second time and stepped onto the TLC set with her characteristic practiced energy. Kody followed behind, complaining about lighting. Neither had any sense of what was in store for them. The producer pressed play on a tablet. We just want to get your reaction to this audio. The room was silent. Robyn's face paled as the words were breathed into her ear. Kody doesn't need to find out. Kody's eyes locked onto her, narrowing. He didn't utter a single word until the noise ceased. You said you were only dealing with the money, he replied, his tone icy. I had to be sure we were okay, Robyn stammered. You signed my name, he shot back. You said the paperwork didn't matter. You said this was for all of us, not you. He stood up and strode off the set. Even Kody's allegiance had cracked once. Scandal splashed the headlines in hours. Entertainment Weekly, Robyn Brown cashed out $820,000 of family money. Hidden tape exposed. TMZ, TLC show in tatters. Robyn Brown accused of stealing community property. The Sun, Meri and Janelle sue Robyn. The above was backroom manipulator become front page news. And Robyn had no choice. Her sister wives left no room for ambiguity. Christine took Instagram live with a timeline of the manipulative finances of Robyn. Janelle posted redacted statements that explained the exact transfers. Meri made an emotional post. It's not the money, it's the trust. That's what's broken, and it can't be fixed. Meri Robyn Brown, the brains behind the downfall of the family, was instantaneously convicted by the public eye. The legal strike and final showdown. Janelle and Meri acted fast. From 2020 to 2024, they demanded an independent audit for all the community property funding in cents. Their lawyers accused them of extreme things, financial extortion, fraud, and forgery, and demanded full accountability. While Kody was cornered and humiliated in public, he did not step in. We are addressing internal family matters with attorneys, he complained in a weak public statement. But by then, the harm was irreparably done. Robyn would not answer calls. TLC ceased filming. She threatened to sue the network for airing private conversations. Too late. The video had aired. The consequences were already in motion. Robyn was alone in the same house that she'd bullied Kody into buying. She'd bought it in her name. What had become a symbol of security now stood in eerie quiet. Her bank accounts had been frozen. The walls echoed only silence, and for the first time, that silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt exposed. Meanwhile, the rest of the family came together. Without her, the final straw was a family gathering she wasn't invited to. In Arizona, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and their children came together for what they called a realignment. We're taking our power back, Janelle said firmly. No more being bossed around. Meri scanned the room, Savannah, Hunter, Michael T, Gabriel, Gwendolyn. Once set-aside adult children now stood together with their mothers, resolute and unflinching. She constructed her kingdom upon our silence, Christine stated, but that silence is done. Robyn Brown was home alone. Flinging open the door to her residence, she scrolled through headline after headline portraying her in the worst possible light. She called Kody, straight to voicemail. She tried to contact TLC's legal representative, denied. The cameras weren't rolling. Her formerly supportive fan sites were mute. No more Kody sitting next to her on the confession couch. Just Robyn, by herself, gazing out at the wreckage she had made. I was only attempting to protect what belonged to me, she whispered to herself, but in attempting to guard, hoard, and cover, she had lost everything. The courtroom reckoning commenced. On a gray Flagstaff morning, Robyn stepped out of a black SUV with her lawyer by her side. She bore the smell of desperation like perfume worn too long. Her normal soft-spoken beauty was gone. In its place, pursed-lipped silence. The courthouse loomed in front of her like a tomb. Inside, the gallery was charged with tension. Reporters, bloggers, ex-Mormon activists, and curious locals packed the benches. The same woman who wept years ago on TLC over keeping the family intact was now in court for a civil fraud and forgery case filed by Meri and Janelle Brown. In front, the judge flipped through a thick binder labeled Community Property Audit 2020 to 2024. Behind her lawyer's desk, Janelle sat still, calm, and unflinching, confidence radiating from her no-makeup, navy-suited frame. Meri, beside her, wore a look of anguish on her face. Her glances at Robyn said it all, sorrow transforming into justifiable indignation. Next came the surprise witness. Mr. Kody Brown, come to the stand. The room fell into stunned quietness. Kody braced himself for a deep breath, then stepped slowly, his hands twisting together in his lap. There was no bravado. His hair pulled more tightly than usual, his promise nowhere to be seen. When asked if he realized he had authorized over $820,000 to be paid in full into Robyn's accounts, Kody paused. No. I didn't read the forms, he admitted. I trusted Robyn. The judge raised an eyebrow. Were you aware your digital signature appears on 3 different forms? Another pause. Then a slow shake of the head. No. I wasn't. I believed her when she informed me that she was mopping up the deeds. The gallery stuttered in shock. Robyn sat stiff, cheeks flushed. Her lawyer frantically shuffled documents. Janelle on the opposite side of the courtroom stood motionless with intensity. She had not held out for Kody's collapse, only his confession. And now, finally, the illusion was crumbling, not just for her, but for the world to see. Then Janelle stood up, ready, focused. In flames, she approached the stand with evidence and background. In soft, measured detail, she explained her years of managing the family's finances. She explained how CP accounts were initially jointly monitored, how Robyn had offered to help, how she later insisted that everything be categorized under one account. And when I asked questions, Janelle said flatly, Robyn told me I was paranoid. She said I was the one who was giving distrust, she said point blank. But now we know that she wasn't helping, she was hiding. Janelle locked eyes with Robyn and stared intensely at her. You didn't just lie to Kody, she whispered. You lied to all of us. You stole from our children, from their futures. And before a second passed, Robyn's defense started crumbling. Her lawyers were visibly rattled by the afternoon. The evidence was incriminating. Forged e-signatures, secret bank transfers, suspicious alterations on official CP ledger documents. They attempted to paint her as overwhelmed, an unwilling caregiver who only took on the task because no other would step up. But Christine Brown's affidavit destroyed that explanation further. In her sworn written statement, Christine described years of being closed out, along with conversations Robyn had initiated about keeping family wealth in check once the other wives left, even if Christine herself stayed. In accordance with her affidavit, she told me we were unstable, said we didn't deserve equal shares. She even laughed once and said, I'll be the last wife standing when it all falls apart. Robyn's expression didn't crumble into tears, but something more fragile began to show. The realization that the empire she built was finally crumbling. Final rulings. The court issued a decision that shook the foundation of the Brown family. A shift in financial authority, a full forensic review of all Brown assets, and a freeze on Robyn's personal accounts pending further investigation. A hearing was set to be scheduled within a week. Outside the courthouse, supporters applauded as Janelle walked down the stairs. Meri came behind her. Both remained mute to the media. They didn't need to. Their appearance said it all. This family was no longer intact around Kody and Robyn's delusions. Within again, Robyn sat in a cold hallway chair while her attorney whispered legal strategy, but for the first time, Robyn didn't react. She had glassy eyes, staring blankly at the ground. Her photo, her money, and her grip on Kody all melting from between her fingers. Across the courtyard, Kody alone on a bench, head in hands, elbows on knees, was not the center of anything for once. The audit had arrived like the final blow in the war Robyn thought she had already won. Then there was report day. Robyn had gone about everything carefully, her soothing voice, her righteous posture, even the anger she'd kept hidden behind behind sugar-coated smiles. But truth bursts in with greater noise than fantasy, in spite of however softly fraud may be set out. The Flagstaff courtroom was packed. The room buzzed with tension as a 4-inch thick red-covered forensic report was brought forward. Attorneys, clerks, even a representative from TLC watched in shocked anticipation. Judge Helms read through the first page and recited in a clear, clinical tone 14 distinct financial transactions totaling $823,417.52 between 2020 and 2024 into 3 so far unknown accounts in Robyn Brown's name alone. A ripple of gasps, and additionally 2 shell trusts holding real estate titles not before revealed. Meri's head lowered slightly. Janelle crossed her arms tightly. Kody leaned back, wide-eyed. Christine had alluded to this during her testimony, but no one had anticipated the scope. The report went on. A Flagstaff home purchased in the BRS Family Trust had been paid cash, $412,000 withdrawn directly from the CP fund. A second property, a Sedona vacation residence, bore no official designation pertaining to the family. TLC performance fees, intended for the family, had been quietly channeled from the family LLC to Robyn's personal business account under Sullivan Holdings, apparently an attempt to hide funds behind privacy restrictions. Robyn's lawyer objected, stating the evidence was inadmissible, but the horse had left the barn. The judge already possessed it all: digital records, transfer receipts, IP data. The mask finally cracked. Behind the curtain, trusts, Sedona, and stolen futures. IT was one of the most heartbreaking revelations in the report that Robyn had channeled college money saved for all the children of the family. The Brown Futures Fund, which Meri and Janelle had established everyone's kids, had been reduced to an incredible $4,712. Best had been funneled into a new account, one titled under Sullivan Educational Holdings, with only 3 names: Dayton, Brianna, and Aurora. Janelle did not cry, but Savannah did. At that moment in time, she sat in a quiet museum gallery with Gabe and Garrison's friend, and the betrayal hit her in the face. She took everything meant for all of us, Savannah gasped, and left us with nothing. Kody's collapse, the king, now ousted, started to unravel. The revelations in the audit had smashed whatever grip he still maintained. Photographers snapped him pacing the courthouse corridor between break times, fists clenched, muttering to himself, "How did she do this? How did I let her do this?" Later in the afternoon, Kody Brown sat alone on the sidewalk outside, observing the dust swirl up around his feet. No longer a guardian. No longer a leader, just a man with nothing left to guard. Do you think Robyn betrayed you? A journalist pressed. He did not respond directly to the question. According to him, "I believed everything she said. I gave her our house, and she burned it all down." Meri's power move. Filing the motion, Meri moved quickly. Now that the audit was publicized, she, through her lawyers, filed an official motion for restitution and damages. The demands: return all misappropriated CP funds, liquidate every hidden trust asset, and launch a criminal investigation into falsified signatures and forged ownership documents. Janelle co-signed without hesitation. Christine, though no longer tied to the family legally, posted a public video. "Even from the outside, I'm watching justice catch up," she said plainly. "You don't get to keep what was never yours." Robyn's collapse, from cracks to craters. Robyn locked herself in her bedroom for nearly 2 days straight. Her phone rang constantly: lawyers, TLC contacts, advisors. But even she could not believe excuses anymore. They simply do not understand. "I was trying to save us," she breathed out loud. But the words ring hollow. Surrounded by designer handbags, property deeds stuffed into closet boxes, and unopened Amazon packages jammed into corners, every hidden extravagance now possible evidence, and her hand was the last court notice: Sullivan Trust Holdings. 30 days to comply with the court-ordered freeze, and for the first time in Robyn Brown's meticulously choreographed life, no one was left to play for. Legacy unraveled. Epilogue: the online backlash was instant and merciless. Former fans now labeled Robyn the architect of the family's demise. Reddit forums erupted. TikToks circulated widely. YouTube videos poured in. Robyn Brown, how she masterminded the downfall of a family. Where did the money go? The CP takeover, a sister wives reckoning. TLC released a one-sentence announcement: the network is weighing production's future amid ongoing legal developments. Kody vanished from social media. Meanwhile, there were rumors that Meri, Janelle, and Christine were in talks with a new production firm for a spin-off, tentatively titled Reclaimed. life after polygamy, and regards to Robyn? She remained hidden, behind the same wall she built with money she used to refer to as protection. Day of Judgment, the final judgment occurred in a courthouse full of thick, reverent silence, close enough to be sacred and no cameras. No distractions. Only voices, documents, and the nagging ache of promises never fulfilled. It was clear to everyone attending. It was something greater than a legal proceeding. It was the death of what once was a family. Robyn wore black. She sat at the defense table trembling, red-rimmed eyes, her body swaying. Her attorney, tired and white-faced, sat beside her in quiet, towards the rear of the courtroom. Onlookers occupied it once more. But this time, they weren't merely bystanders. It was witnesses to justice. Janelle sat upright, her gaze on the bench. She hadn't come to rejoice. She'd arrived to complete what Robyn had begun. Beside her, Meri held a solitary folder, the original papers Robyn had forged. Since learning the truth, she hadn't taken her eyes off them. Judge Helms appeared unexpectedly. She sat down, turned the page, and spoke in the tone of someone who had witnessed empires fall before. On careful analysis of all testimony, financial statements, and records of forensic audits, this court finds Robyn Brown responsible for community property funds diversion, civil financial forgery, and fraud by concealment. Robyn's shoulders began to quiver. Her lips trembled, but she spoke no word. Robyn loses everything. The judge spoke the ruling aloud while the courtroom waited with bated breath. The BRS Family Trust will be liquidated in its entirety. Undefined all assets. Matters including the Sedona and Flagstaff properties will be put up for auction at fair market value. Undefined the CP account, now in control of an impartial trustee appointed on behalf of Meri and Janelle, will see a complete $823,417.52 in damages. Third, all college funds diverted were returned to the biological and adopted Brown children via the rebalancing of the Brown Futures Fund. Fourth, financial control was permanently taken away. Robyn was legally barred from ever representing any LLC or business entity for the Brown family. Fifth, due to the fabricated financial statements, a potential criminal case was referred to the Arizona State Attorney's Office. Robyn internally collapsed. A choked sob escaped as she shook off her lawyer's supportive hand on her shoulder. Meri did not feel anything resembling pity. Janelle simply exhaled slowly. Waiting outside the courthouse were reporters, but Meri and Janelle had nothing to offer, walking together, side by side, hand in hand. They were a quiet storm, grief made, but victory too. The money? That had never been the point, really. It was everything they'd endured. Years of silence, the sacrifices they'd made for a man who would not stand by them, and the betrayal of a woman who used manipulation behind crocodile tears. Christine waited at the end of the walkway. She welcomed them with tearful hugs. "We did it," Meri whispered. "We finally stripped her of her power." In that moment, the balance of power permanently changed. Robyn's world had completely collapsed. She returned home to a home that, by law, was no longer hers. That evening, her attorney's hand delivered the trustee's transition letter, giving her 45 days to vacate, unless she repurchased the home, which she could no longer afford. Dayton, Brianna, and Aurora sat around the dinner table in silence. The lights were lowered. The silence lingered in the air. "What now?" Aurora whispered. Robyn opened her mouth but had nothing to say. As daylight broke over a house filled with regret and shame, her empire was no more than a shadow. Rebuilding with Meri and Janelle started soon afterward. Weeks later, the money from the dissolved trust was given out. In a lawyer's office, Meri and Janelle sat side by side, reviewing what was now theirs: a Utah vacation house, an Arizona commercial building, and 40% of all TLC residuals routed under their names. There was no celebration. No champagne. Just signatures on paper, signed by two women who had fought for every morsel of freedom, bearing every scar with pride. They quietly left. Janelle allowed herself a small smile. Now we get to determine what legacy really is. As for Kody, he was last seen in a one-bedroom apartment in the outskirts of Flagstaff. Divorced from all 4 wives, his life had disintegrated. No TLC cruise, no empire. Just one man, alone with silence and graying hair. He looked at a half-unpacked family photo on the table: Meri, Janelle, Christine. Even Robyn. And himself, once younger, yes, arrogant. "What the hell did I do?" he said, before turning the frame face down on the counter. A life without Robyn was not the end of the Brown family, it was a rebirth. Christine, Meri, and Janelle co-produced a new documentary series, Reclaimed, Life After Plural Marriage, centered on healing, rebuilding, and economic independence. Their children, at last, spoke openly, no longer restrained by fear or loyalty. Robyn, on the other hand, melted into silence. Her TLC contract was terminated discreetly. Her Flagstaff home was sold. Her name vanished from trending tabs. She was an outcast now, something she never imagined possible, but the others, they were entirely different now. Let us know in the comments and subscribe to Reality Recap for more explosive news like this. _bottom of screen. Thanks for watching.